All right, Richie Mars, just us this month, live for the Bash in Berlin. No show, post show. Overall feelings. What did you think of the event?
I thought it was good. Nice variety, nothing too crazy. If you're watching the show for any surprises or any shocks or anything like that, this isn't going to be the show for you. But if you like a good variety, whether it's traditional wrestling, hardcore wrestling, some mixed tag action in there, some tag team wrestling, this show definitely checks all the boxes in terms of each match having a different feel to it. And I feel like if you like variety in that way, you're going to enjoy the show.
Yeah, very, very paint by numbers, but not
Mhm.
necessarily in a bad way. I don't think there was any stinkers. I think the flow of this pay per view was a benefit of a five-match structure for sure. All of the matches, mostly predictable, of course, seemed like they meant something though. And the overall feeling from match to match felt like the show was building to a pretty good crescendo of a main event, which we'll get into eventually. But let's just start right straight up top, right? Cody Rhodes defeating Kevin Owens by pinfall in a singles match for the WWE Undisputed Championship match, 23 minutes and 16 seconds. It felt like it was building like a takeover match where they had all the unique transitions. A little clunky, actually, in my opinion, like from a chemistry aspect, not really touching each other, right? Or were they kind of two baby faces away? Oh, it kind of felt like it was kind of off. It was kind of heatless to start to me, but I felt it was felt pretty big building. It felt that they were kind of getting to a point where they wanted to get to. And honestly, Richie, I felt that the match outcome at the end was sudden, and I was like, "What?" That was the finish. So I believe he won by a crossroads. What did you think of this match? Did it live up to the hype? And I did shit on it a little bit, but I'm saying it's still a very, very good match in my opinion.
Yeah.
What say you?
I think it was good. A lot of Cody's matches for the WWE Championship have been knocking out of the park when you just focus on the competitors. When there's no Gaga, when there's no interference and stuff like the match we had last month
Yeah.
with Solo Sokoa. I think that's where Cody really shines in this modern day indie NWA throwback esque kind of matchups that he has. Like this matchup definitely did remind me a little bit of the AJ Styles match where even though
Sure.
this match still had like a pretty good like story coming into it comparatively to all of Cody Rhodes's programs where the stories weren't really the main focus, the story inside the match, that's what was the selling point in that. Something as simple as Kevin Owens not feeling like he deserves the WWE Championship shot, and then the little wrinkle on the SmackDown Go Home show of Kevin Owens knowing about Cody's knee and that knee playing that factor into the struggle between Kevin Owens, the prize fighter, between Kevin Owens now. And there's actually some I guess like some subtle storytelling, if you want to call it that, because Kevin Owens, he never hit the pop up power bomb, which is the calling card of the prize fighter Kevin Owens, and instead he would elect to use the stunner, which I think is one of those things where it's like Kevin Owens is still in this realm of trying to be the righteous Kevin Owens, and that cost him in the end. And I think for a story that was simple, it was simple but effective, and you could hear the audience groan with Kevin Owens not taking advantage of the knee, not because they don't like Cody Rhodes or dislike Cody Rhodes, but they're seeing that change in Kevin Owens, that confliction. And I feel like that's what's going to come to a head. Maybe not immediately, but it's like it might take months, maybe even years down the line. We won't see this full transition to Kevin Owens in that heel realm.
Yeah. So I actually was into the story of the match. I thought that like the structure building around the knee, the structure building around the inevitable story of really transitioning KO, perhaps, or starting to transition KO to a different, perhaps, character that he was in the past or whatever. I really was into that structure, especially as it built throughout. When I was talking earlier about the negative of it, just kind of I felt that it was a little clunky at first, but that's just nitpicking. But overall, it did its job. It got to the point where it needed to be, and when the heat was there for the final 8 minutes, I was super into it, especially when Cody Rhodes built up to the top rope move where he transitions to the Cody Cutter, right? I love how he did that. Cody did a great job, of course, and that's where Kevin Owens altered his mood. And perhaps he needs to get himself in a mental place where he needs to get to that prize fighter, get to that vicious, cutthroat dude that he's been in the past, and he didn't look at himself in the mirror and wanted to revert to that. Like you said, righteous was the great word for that. He wanted to stay true to himself and stay true to the friendship, true to the guy that reminds him of Dusty Rhodes, his mentor within the WWE, and a guy that he can be call a true friend within the WWE, Cody Rhodes, right? So I think there was a lot of moral dilemma that was facing there, and once that moral dilemma kind of set into the match, I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I feel that inevitably we'll get there. Do you think that we will inevitably get there with Kevin?
Uh,
Or is he just a trend? Let me set the picture a little bit more. Or is he just a transition to get to the next thing for Cody?
well, if you want to think about it, they've been teasing Randy and Cody with some, like side eyes and stuff like that.
What I was meaning, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was almost like not necessarily an audible because you had time for the Randy Orton Gunther stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if this is where it was supposed to be Cody and Randy, if you were going to format it the right way. But with this, it's a heck of a runner up if you want to call it that in this kind of story because again, Kevin and Randy are almost like similar tales. You're friends with the WWE champion. Obviously, their stories and backgrounds are different, but I think this actually makes it stronger because Kevin Owens is in that, like you said, that conflicting, like being pulled in two directions between wanting that championship glory, knowing that he doesn't deserve it, and that prize fighter that's always obsessed with getting the win and getting the win legitimately by any means necessary. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of linger on this plot point for a while because with Triple H and his creative, like some things are played off right away and then other things are just dragged out to the nth degree almost to its detriment, but then when that turn actually happens, then it's like at that apex where it's like everybody in the crowd is ready for it, not just one person, just like a section of the audience that's ready for it. But I think with Kevin Owens, like especially when you have on SmackDown, the SmackDown side is pretty thin when it comes to heels, so you gotta kind of have that mix up in order to keep the show fresh, especially going into their season premiere. So I could definitely see Kevin Owens turning, but I wouldn't be surprised if they even like stretch it out until probably next year.
Now that's the completely end of the spectrum of the reaction that I had initially. See, I felt that you mentioned Triple H love playing things out, right? Or he
Mhm,
likes to instant gratification with it.
mhm,
I personally would have went with the instant gratification of it all and just have Kevin just absolutely snap, similar to NXT Takeover with Sami Zayn, right? I would have had
mhm,
him snap on a dime there and go through that whole angle again because that would have kind of bottled all that energy and focus, and he would have snapped into the Kevin Owens prize fighter after that quick realization of I can't be myself if I want to get back to the top. Right? Maybe his contract has to do something with it, and once they kinda go over that red tape and make it finalized, then they'll go with that, right?
mhm,
Because I do think he's gonna resign, right? But so I don't really think that has much to do with it, but I feel that he has had a history of kind of just snapping, and then once he
mhm,
snaps, he turns into that person.
mhm,
And yes, you could say that he would like to snap and be that person within an opportunity to capture the WWF championship, right? Or the
mhm,
WWE championship, excuse me.
mhm.
But does he see himself in that situation yet again? I don't know, honestly. Does he? Like, will he find himself back there, or does he need to? Because they can't really do the same thing what they did with AJ, right? Oh, well, I quit, and so on, and like be cute and clever with it to get to a second
No,
one.
absolutely,
I
and
feel
if
that he
you
needed to snap, and then
well,
that's how he provoked Cody to get him in the ring again.
well, another thing is it's like you have this outlier in Solo Sikoa, which Michael Cole kind of confirmed that it's going to be Cody and Solo. What you could do there is you could even add Kevin into the mix, have a triple threat of Bad Blood if you really wanted to. And then from there, you could still tease on that story of Kevin Owens being so close for that, that win, and then Cody coming in and gaining that victory. So there's a lot of different angles you could pull at it. I wouldn't have ripped the band-aid off right away here just because there's so much more story to tell with Kevin Owens because this whole story of Kevin Owens being, Cody's friend and now transitioning into a challenger, it's only been what about 3 weeks build, if that.
if
And
that
with
made
this whole heel turn thing, even though it's like you and I, we all like heel Kevin Owens, you got to establish that frustration a little bit more to the viewing audience, to that casual audience, to almost hit it over the head where it's like, all right, he's actually frustrated. Where you saw that at the post match, where it's like, he shoved the camera out of the way, still hugging Cody Rhodes. Cody tried to raise Kevin Owens' hand, and then he just like ripped it down and then started raising Cody's hand. So you really do get that perception of both guys in this feud. Like, there's no like clear cut like good guy, bad guy situation of this, how this match got started. You need that clear cut misunderstanding to then place them into the category of good and bad, with some, understanding involved with that too. Because with Cody and Kevin, like with Cody, he gives his friend a championship match, which, a lot of fans like because Kevin Owens is a very popular, babyface. And then at Kevin's side, it's like, whoa, I don't deserve this. I've had loss after loss after loss. But Cody's like, look, you've been by my side. Like, I want a great challenger. I think you're the great challenger that we're looking for, and then Kevin Owens might see that as like a pity sort of thing, where it's just like, that's not how he wants to win the championship. And it goes back to that promo of Kevin Owens winning the Universal Championship in a faulty manner. I think it was like 8 years ago or something like that.
Yeah,
So what you got to do is you got to lay that foundation down of that Kevin Owens, who's taking that win by any means necessary. We're not at that level yet. You need that little like moment where it's like, okay, he's actually transitioning. Whether it's like, if you're in that triple threat match, Cody hits the crossroads on Solo, and then Kevin throws Cody out of the ring and then tries to get the win for himself. Then that's the spark of like, there's the prize fighter that we're seeing, that we know. And then you just kind of build that off from there. There's a couple more story beats you can do besides just having him turn on Cody at the end of the match. Like, you could build that up. You could really make that moment mean something, because then it's like, it's still in the audience's mind where it's like, they're prepared for it. They're prepared for it. Oh, it didn't happen yet. Didn't happen yet. And it's not going to elongate where it's like, oh, we're frustrated this turn isn't happening. It's instead going, all right, this is the journey that we're going on for this story. And where it's almost like a wait and see. When's he going to turn? When's he going to turn? And then when you get it, boom, least expected, Kevin Owens turns on Cody. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get that match in War Games, that second one-on-one match, because they're going to be in Canada, I believe. So
Vancouver, yeah.
yeah,
Completely
so
opposite end of Canada from where he's from. He's from
yeah,
Quebec, totally eastern.
yeah.
Vancouver is western. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel that the sudden turn wouldn't have been about the story. It would have been Kevin Owens the best. And sometimes within the stories, you need stronger characters. And I think the instant turn would have bottled all of that for Kevin to make him stronger within the story. Because right now, I think the only thing that hurts Cody Rhodes is the perception of this is Cody Rhodes' run, and there's no true challengers, right?
Mhm.
Coming off of this is Roman's run, and it's all about Roman Reigns. I think that especially Cody as a babyface would benefit truly from guys that make him vulnerable as champion, right? So we have that in-ring investment of yearning for Cody to keep it, right? And then the triumph of him keeping it within the ring makes us more invested within that title reign. I don't know, I just feel that it's more of a character thing than a story thing with the turn. But I do agree with your sentiment that it's the story, but I just feel like the characters need to be stronger within the stories. And they are decently strong characters. Cody much stronger than Kevin, of course, but I feel like Kevin just has way more upside than he does here. But I don't think that he's a damaged character even still. I still think there's plenty of juice within Kevin Owens. And I feel that the snap would just be more impactful than the elongated, like, manipulative thing, because you want him to be unhinged, right? So the emotions of not being being the nice guy and it not working, snapping would make him more dangerous as a heel, opposed to like a calculated, scarmy, douchey heel kind of thing. I feel like he just needs to be a little tick off mentally as a heel to be the most kind of accepting and highest ceiling. And honestly, I think it would have done Cody a lot better too, because Cody could still have the same scenario where like, oh, well, I'm giving you a rematch now because you made this personal, right? Similar to with AJ, but just a different lane on getting down that road.
Yeah, again, it's just one of those things where it's a different perspective, and I think
Yeah.
with Kevin Owens, like you really want to build that character up where it's just like because before we haven't really seen that inner conflict. We've seen it from kind of Cody's end when Kevin like was about to like where people thought that he was going to get hit by the championship and Kevin just handed it to Cody. But you kind of need more of that tease in there. You don't need to kind of like shake the soda can and then open it up right now. You could let it fester for a little bit. You put it in the fridge, it's going to shake up a little bit even more. And with that, you need to go the story beats with Kevin and then build on top, build on top, build on top. Then when the moment actually happens, then that's what's going to happen. Look at Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, for instance. If Sami Zayn hit Roman with the chair at, let's say, um, like at Crown Jewel or like War Games or like anything before the Rumble, it wouldn't have meant as more because the Kevin Owens factor wasn't in there yet, which wouldn't have made Sami Zayn's chair shot to Roman that
Oh,
much more impactful. So with
that's a
Kevin,
story. Yeah, that's just a story journey where Sammy peaked at it. I'm talking about kind of rehabbing Kevin within a character structure
well,
for
you
his
gotta
stories to be more
you gotta
improved.
rehab it in a way that makes sense for this
Oh, I
television
think that would have
audience
made
too.
sense
Yeah,
how I laid it out too as
yeah,
well. I just
yeah.
wanted
But
to make
yeah,
Kevin stronger after a world title defeat for the next time he's up for it. That's it.
yeah, and then
And we can
usually
still get there
some
and have the same result.
yeah.
I don't think either path is wrong.
No,
I
yeah, it's
just
just different
felt
perception. Yeah.
yeah, I just felt gut instinct that it was
Mhm.
more about that time.
Yeah,
But
I do like how Kevin Owens. This is completely different. This is a completely different pivot, but I like how Kevin Owens like is going to make like more like money off the KO T-shirts by just changing the color of the duct tape on there too. So I'm just kind of expecting like
I have the
all
red one.
different. Yeah, you have the red one. Okay,
Yeah, I have the
I have the old NXT one somewhere.
yeah. So yeah, it's honestly, do you know the backstory with that? Where
Yes, yes, I do. Yeah, because
he
it's
was
like
taking the promo pictures, then Enzo
yeah,
Amore made the duct tape thing out of a black
yeah,
t-shirt. I think it was a Guns N' Roses t-shirt that he turned
yeah.
inside out. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and another thing is they actually had like his old ring gear before his takeover match was like legit. They put duct tape on like the shirt and it didn't look good.
Phenomenal.
And he's like, can I just wear like my own T-shirt? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? And then the rest they say is history.
Hey, whatever. Simple as straightforward, right? But
Mhm.
all right, either way, I think Kevin Owens' days are best ahead of him, and we can probably agree on that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I don't even think like the contract's like a factor at this point. They've always
No,
let kind of
I
like
would assume it's in.
yeah, I feel like they always like they quote unquote leak out that contracts are expiring just to kind of get some like buzz out there, for better for worse. And yeah, I honestly I don't see this as like a completion of a story. I say it's like the end of chapter number one, and I can't wait to see how they build up the next chapters in front of it. Because if you remember the AJ story, there was Logan Paul in the middle of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you could still concurrently run two stories at the same time. I'm just wondering how Kevin Owens progresses through the weeks and months ahead.
Yeah, and I still think that I was just looking for more oomph at the end of chapter 1, but,
Yeah.
chapter 2 and 3 is probably gonna be just as good. I just wanted the Kevin Owens investment of it all, so
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
cool. So Cody injury real or what before we bounce to the next match?
No, I think it's still because again he's
Of
moving
course
him.
it is.
Yeah, he's moving really like really little pep in his step right there. You know what I mean?
I like the vulnerability though, because he can carry
Yeah.
that to the next feud, and he can carry it so on and so forth. I think it's worth it. And as a champion, you should grow warts, right? You should
Mhm.
grow in vulnerabilities and whatever. So look at
And
Roman Reigns,
especially
A1
yeah.
pitcher to his gray beard, right?
Yeah, and especially flaws in Cody's character, where it's like Kevin's like, "No, you're not fine." Cody's like, "I'm fine," and then he hits the forearm trying to fight back, and it's just like you don't want Cody Rhodes to be like the Boy Scout that John Cena always was, and I think what makes Cody a little bit better than John Cena in terms of the character department is that he does have these built relationships because John Cena was always kind of like solo on his own. He doesn't really have any friends, and the one friend he had in Zack Ryder, we know what happened there. But with Cody, you have these relationships with Kevin, with Sammy, with Jay, with Randy, with all these different people and factors, and you have that relationship with Roman, as two, not as friends, but as adversaries, that it makes the stories feel a lot more deep, that you could get more invested in general. And then you could always either do a tag team or do as opponents. So it's like That's what I like with Cody Rhodes. Like, just kind of show and be more invested in the story wise. I would like there to be a little bit more variety. I think we could both agree that his stories as WWE champion haven't really been lighting the world on fire.
Mhm.
But I feel like with this, if they decide to run with it and go with it, I think they have potential for a great story ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I think that Cody Rhodes' days have as champion have been strong, and I think days ahead of him are gonna even be better as he's gonna
Mhm.
be a focus of USA and maybe even Fox if they decide to shake up the roster, right? Or
Yeah.
not Fox, of Netflix if they decide to shake up the roster, so we'll see. He's gonna be a pivot of this whatever brand he's on,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
good shit. Alright, match number 2, a match that we previewed here on YouTube.
Yeah, we
Bianca
did.
Belair and Jade Cargill defeating
Yeah.
the Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn,
Mhm.
for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships at 12 minutes and 2 seconds. Watching this match, my just the structure of it, I was kind of like, it seems like they're gonna go with the baby faces here, right?
Mhm.
And just knowing tag psychology, I was kind of shocked that they did kind of go with the baby faces because I don't know if we convinced each other
Mhm.
or what, but we were kind of convinced that the unholy union was going to win this match. And then when I saw the structure of the match, I was like, shit, the baby faces are going to win. And I kind of wanted the unholy union to win. I don't know why, if I'm more into them than then, or if
Mhm.
I just think that the women's division on the tag team side of it is just more at their level, so to speak, right? If that
Mhm.
makes any more sense. Like the
Mhm.
tag team titles just feel so much like, it feels like below Belair and Jade, right? So and the women around this division don't feel like they're on that level, and then you're like, "Oh, well, they're just gonna
Mhm.
make them up and rise to that level," but
Mhm.
theoretically, it just hasn't worked, especially since Backlash or whenever they won these belts. So, two-time champs now. I thought the match was pretty actually good. I thought Alba was extremely good in it. She was probably the glue that held all that structure together. Alba Fire or Isla Dawn, excuse me, also teamed up really well with her. I like the heat on Belair. Such a sympathetic babyface character, of course. And then Jade, I didn't notice any warts, right? As
Mhm.
on the especially on the heat and the comeback. And the finish was pretty strong. Overall, I would consider this like a very good match. If I was giving it a star rating, I would it was a good match, 3 stars probably, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that I would say that's probably for 12 minutes, they probably met their watermark for sure. What do you think
Mhm.
of this match, Richie?
I liked it a lot. The women's tag division has gotten a lot, like, a very, like, poor rap just because of the attention that's not been on it for years and years and years. But if you notice, they're the only tag team titles that's actually being featured on these PLEs. Where it seems like the tag titles for SmackDown and Raw, they're more engrossed in other things. Like
TV
with the
rep.
Raw tag titles, it's mostly the Judgment Day, just to say they have an accolade to them. For the SmackDown tag titles, same thing with the Bloodline and such. Even though it's like sometimes they'll be ending the show with the team championships, they're not like the central focus. But I think that's what they want to try to do to make it more of a television attraction than a PLE attraction. And with the women's tag titles, it's easy to make it more of a PLE attraction just because any brand can go for it, right? And I feel like Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, like we like you said, we wanted them to win. Just because I feel like they're just kind of scratching the surface in terms of development character wise as a team. And I just wonder where they're going to go from here because they had kind of a cool little trio with Blair Davenport that you could have expanded on if you really wanted to. But again, Jade and Bianca winning isn't the end of the world. If anything, I think it makes the tag division a little bit stronger just because you have that babyface team to kind of base it around, which is always a good thing. And now with the women, their tag teams are like getting more established on television. So now you have new competition. You have the Pure Fusion Collection or Collective. You have Damage Control. You have Caden Carter, Katana Chance. You have all these different women's, and now with the Speed Championship now being with the women as well, you're having more opportunities for women in general. I just wish that we will get more of a focus for the tag team championships going forward, just because if you want us to care about the women's division in general, and you want to add like a IC or US championship, you have to let us care about all the divisions that the women have to offer. And I feel like that is probably the top priority you have to do in WWE when you want to make a division mean something is to give it the appropriate amount of time and the appropriate amount of characters to care about. So when they finally have those matches, in turn, we will care about the champions and the championship involved.
Theoretically, you're right, but I just feel like the perception of it that these two women are way above the division, and has that worked? I'm not sure, but should it work? Absolutely, like you said. It's just
Mhm.
them need to figure out the science and the math and the equations, all that. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, yeah.
there's definitely substance to that point, 100%. It just hasn't worked. Uh, Hmm. How long do you see him being champs? Because if you told me at Backlash they would lose him in 2 months to Iceland Dawn and win him back 2 or 3 months after that, I would have been like, "What are we doing?" But it makes sense. It works.
Mhm.
So, how long do you think they'll be champions? New Year's? Over, under?
Um,
What do you think?
yeah, I think that's a good realm. I think like Rumble maybe if you want to
Yeah.
go there, like probably around a Rumble. And then if you want to do the breakup story, you do the breakup story. I think a lot of people are clamoring for either Jade or Bianca to turn on the other. And the thing is, it's like I understand it's exciting. Heel turns are excited for a good character change. But if you want us, again, like I said, to care about a division, you need teams that you have to care about. And right now, they're pushing Jade and Bianca as this super team in the division. So you got to base it around. You have to build up challengers, build up more characterizations, and you can't have like like I say, I call them the rip the band-aid off turns where it's like there's no build up to it. I mean, look at Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. They've been building up their breakup since probably February. You know what I mean? Or at least hints towards it. So it's like sometimes, like the shock breakups can happen, but for something like Jade and Bianca, when you invest TV time to them, especially, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a couple teases of dissension before that moment actually happens. But in terms of them carrying the championships, I think like probably around the Rumble, and then maybe get a featured match at WrestleMania, either as a team, opponents, whatever you want to say. But they are building up for WrestleMania. Usually around now, we know
Yeah.
what the direction is for WrestleMania, or they have mapped out the direction, like in that WrestleMania documentary. Triple H said by October,
October, it was
the
80% done.
80% was it. So it's like we're entering September. So we have a
Take
good
that with a
idea.
grain of salt, mind you.
Yeah, yeah, So it's just like they have like some plan on where this women's division is going, and hopefully that includes the tag team championships.
All right, gun to your head. Jade or Belair more interested as a heel?
Uh, who's more interesting as a heel, or who do I think's gonna be heel?
Either or both?
I think Bianca would probably be better as the heel at this moment, just because with Jade, if you want to go by the in ring aspect of it, like she's still in that, John Cena 2005, 2006 kind of. She's in a spot and she's learning on the job of being that main event kind of player. And with that, if you're a heel, you're just going to kind of like it's gonna be like, like they joke around when Randy was doing it, like, chin locks, chin locks, chin lock, rest holds, chin
Well,
locks.
from
So
a
I
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say like she has a very good hot tag. She's very good with the hot tag stuff. So I think you kind of like play off that. And Bianca is experienced enough where I think she could work around that. And I think Bianca would be good just because her character. We've seen her Wonder Woman character for a while. I don't see, like, from a creative aspect, that's what I prefer. But will WWE do that? WWE doesn't really have that, like, that like Wonder Woman character on lock. They have the dark character in Rhea Ripley, and then they have the Wonder Woman character in Bianca Belair. But will they do the whole thing with the heel turn? I know Bianca said that she wouldn't mind turning heel, but again, I think it would be good for her character. So again, I my preference would be Bianca Belair as the heel, but I could see them go the Cora Jade, not Cora Jade, the Jade Cargill route, and go from there.
I don't know. I just look at Jade physically, right? And she just is so opposing. I can't see her sitting there selling. I think that would do more damage to the overall presentation of Jade Cargill. And I think that her strengths, the cockiness, the star power,
Mhm.
I think she could fill a lot more time with mannerisms and just arrogance within the matches and the in between stuff between the moves, right? And her
Mhm.
moves are more powerful, so it kind of works either way. But I think that it would be more probably impactful as a heel, right? So
Mhm.
because you can make a power move, you can gloat, let
Mhm.
cycle, let more time pass the babyface or whatever. I don't know. I just don't feel that and I don't feel that Belair, her time as a heel is there. Of course, she has the pedigree of the cocky rookie heel in
Mhm.
NXT, and she did that really well. And that's perhaps how Triple H saw her, or is that just establishing the EST, right? I'm the best, I'm the greatest, I'm the fastest, the quickest, the strongest, right?
Mhm.
So they did they need to do that, and they thought it was a heel, or does Triple H maybe see her as a heel because that's how he presented her at NXT?
Mhm.
I'm not sure. I just feel like but then it doesn't make sense to me because ever since arriving to the WWF, again with the WWF, it's in the WWE since at WrestleMania 36, right? She
Yeah.
was a babyface and she's had great success. Why would she want to change, right? So
Mhm.
it would have to be personal or whatever, and we'd see it. I just don't see the footprints there yet. I see it more of Jade, where it's just like, yeah, we have success. You helped me establish myself, but I used you, kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
So
you also turn around with Bianca saying she's done carrying, the paperweight that is Jade Cargill, around like carrying her for success, where it's like there, even though people say there's no I in team, but I was
yeah,
the I in this team, and then you
I think
establish
it
the
runs
EST
together.
from there. Yeah.
Honestly, I think I wouldn't mind both of them.
No,
All
yeah,
right?
that's the thing. You could tell the story either or, and it would make sense. Which is why I appreciate, like, again, this era of creative where it's like it's like a choose your own adventure kind of style where it's like you could see
Great call.
different path. There's two like different paths we could see, and sometimes there are even paths that aren't clear to us right away either. So, personally, I think it's going to work out with either or. If they want to do that program.
Yep, good shit. All right, midway there, match number 3. CM Punk defeating Drew McIntyre in a
Mhm.
touch the 4 corners strap match.
Yeah, red light,
19
green
minutes
light.
19 minutes and Jesus, and 15 seconds. Wow. Here's the thing, it's like that sounds so childish, but a bracelet is also childish, so I guess it fits. Um, I'm a big fan of both guys, right?
Mhm.
I enjoyed the overall presentation of this match. I understand that the structure can be a little wonky,
Mhm.
but I understand why they did it, right?
Mhm.
Coming out of this, the presser or post-game interview, right? CM Punk says he's done with Drew. He's got a bracelet back. He
Mhm.
feels justified. He never pinned him. He beat him by touching all 4 corners.
Mhm.
Drew pinned him. Drew's gonna get his comeuppance, and I doubt that this feud is actually over. Yes, he said Gunther is on his mind, right? Gunther is
Mhm.
in his vision. Not yet. Drew McIntyre has a lot more to say before he gets there. That's just
Mhm.
my opinion. Do you agree with that sentiment before we kind of get into the match structure?
Yeah, the thing is, this feud is long from over. We still have Bad Blood coming up, and I think the popular theory is CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Hell in a Cell, because again, this has been for lack of a better term, a blood feud. I could see Punk going for Gunther at the season premiere of
Yes.
Raw.
Makes sense.
And then when that happens, you have Drew cost Punk there, and then you transition into that Hell in a Cell match. And I think it makes perfect sense. You end the feud on this high. They're one apiece from each other. And the thing is, it's like both wins slash losses, you could kind of say didn't really settle anything just because, with the first match, you had Seth Rollins in the mix. This match, you have the touching the corners, which people won't really see as a legitimate victory if you want to see it. And then you ended inside Hell in a Cell. So I think it's I feel like that's the right way to done because with Punk saying like he has Gunther in his sights, you either have that world championship match on the season premiere or you cost Punk that number one contenders match. Either or, it works out well, and then you transition to Punk and Drew at Bad Blood, and then hopefully finally these guys can go two ships passing a night because I think the feud has been great, but I'd be lying if I said there weren't like at least like some filler weeks where it's like they pretty much said all they could say promo wise without actually progressing the story even further or just trying to keep it even keel. So yeah, I say that even though Punk says he's has Gunther in his sights, he still has a 6'5" Scotsman just eyeing
Psychopath.
him down. Yeah.
This is where I think we get AJ, right? I think we get like a Drew AJ type of like vignette thing where he stalks her. You know, he's had the bracelet, DDP vibes, but it works with the Undertaker, right? Like I think that's
Yeah.
how he wants to get to Punk, and it's not through a bracelet. And I think that's why the bracelet held on for so long to
Mhm.
kind of get to the crescendo of the symbolism of the wife, right? And that's a great way to
Mhm.
reintroduce her too, right? And maybe
Yeah.
he even kicks Larry,
Mhm.
right? So or something
I'll,
like that.
all I say is I don't see that happening, just because I don't think AJ is interested at this moment for being a part
Never
of an
say never.
angle.
Yeah.
I know never say never, but she's also developing a television show based on her autobiography. So I'm not sure if they would kind of like drag her out of that in order to be part of an angle for at least a short time. I think costing Punk the world championship is enough of a reason for this feud to continue without all the extra bells and whistles. I do like the creativity involved, the whole DDP Undertaker stuff, lovely stuff. I just think just go simplicity at this point. You went the personal route. I wouldn't overdo the whole personal thing because we just had the bracelet done, and I think a lot of people are sick and tired of that bracelet by now. So I think they just want to keep it back on wrestling focused. And what better way to focus back on the feud than cost Punk the world championship and then finally have this feud done? Honestly, I would even like do the stipulation of loser goes to SmackDown or something if they
Yeah, that's
really want
needed.
to.
Yeah.
And then you have Drew lose, he goes to SmackDown. Then you have another
Great story.
challenger for Cody, and then you have that story right there because Drew is actually the last person other than Solo to pin Cody in a match. So
Yeah, early this year.
works everything works that way involved, and it gets them separated from each other and ends this feud on a high note. But that's enough of the thing. Coco, let's talk about the match structure.
I will say if my wife did ask me to drive her to work, I would be involved in her work a little bit if I had to. But anyways, what did you think of the overall match? Was the strap match a pro, a con, or they made it work?
I think they made it work. I feel like a lot of these strap matches, and this is like a nitpick. I only like the touching the corners thing when it's a Texas bull rope match. Uh, that's just my thing. That's how it was introduced to me, and I think I like the strap match being its own thing. But it's one of those things like the last man standing match where it's like you're just waiting for a count, and this one you're waiting for everyone to touch the
Yes.
top of the turnbuckles, and you're trying to make it not seem ridiculous that you can't like just run and like touch all the buckles. You have to act exasperated from this match, and Punk being busted open and them fighting on the outside, I feel like really did add like an element to it. And honestly, I feel like they could have done like a little bit more in just kind of like pushing the smacking the buckle sense. I really did like the spot with Drew having Punk on his shoulders, and then as Drew hits it, Punk hits it. They
And
almost like
a good deal, yeah.
they almost I think almost like broke Punk's hand because he's trying to reach for it, and then like how the strap was positioned and like he couldn't reach it like in
It
time.
was on his foot. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's just like things like that. But again, they made it work. I think they overall the stipulation was needed in order to keep Drew strong,
Mhm.
you know, and I think they've done a phenomenal job. The best thing about this feud in general is the elevation of Drew McIntyre. And I think this helped Drew McIntyre and helped CM Punk get that reintroduction as well. And then honestly, I feel like the whole also it was kind of weird that Drew like took the bracelet out of his trunks
Punk's
and
over
then
there
he
sniffing it.
yeah. I think he was actually like kissing it, but it's just like
Hey,
but
whatever
yeah, it was
floats
just
your boat.
like it was just like a little odd thing. And again, that bracelet comes into play where it's just like the person that's trying to go personal loses. You know what I mean? The person who
Sa
takes it personally.
same with SummerSlam, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but at this time, the shoe's on the other foot. So it's great storytelling, and I can't wait to see what the next chapter holds. And I think, just to bust it open added another factor of it. I do like how WWE isn't overdoing the blood. I
Yeah,
think the only
yeah.
two people
They
that,
should also they should tease it and then save it for the
yeah,
end.
because I
Yeah.
think the only three people that have bled this year were Cody, Punk, and Kevin Owens.
I can't
Because
even
KO,
remember what Kevin bled.
that's when Tama like rammed the car and
Oh, yeah.
brought Kevin out. But it's like that was an angle. But for a match, it was Cody and Punk. Um, uh, both of them got busted open. Like Cody got busted by AJ,
Yeah.
and then Punk here. So I do like that they saved it for this feud. I won't be surprised in Hell in a Cell if both of them bleed gushers.
Yeah.
And I really hope it's the classic steel looking cage and not the red one that that they've started using. Like I think someone did like a milk cart meme where it's like this is this is the new cell. So overall, really enjoyed the match. I thought they're working well together, and it's like one of those matches where you're looking at it and you're like, they're holding back. I feel like they could go that extra mile, but they're kind of saving it a little bit. So this
Yeah.
didn't feel like the finality. This felt like a proper step up from their SummerSlam match, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's just an unconventional way to watch a structure of a match, right? You're not looking for a pinfall. You're not looking for a submission. You got a
Mhm,
submission, by the way.
mhm.
You got a tap out from a sharpshooter,
Yeah.
and
How would you
I
grade it,
would
by the way? How would you grade this sharpshooter? Better than Rock?
have 4 out of 10 for respect, as Bret Hart would say, 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. Okay, but you didn't answer the question. Better than Rock?
Yeah, The
Okay.
Rock's sharpshooter is pretty candy ass. To share a phrase from him.
Yeah.
Well, his legs are super long, right? So it's hard to kind of yeah. I felt that he was always like buckling his knee, so it would never really look good because his legs are. He is 6'5", right?
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
with
Yeah.
CM Punk and Bret Hart, they're not
Yeah.
6'5", so they can their
Well,
legs kind of fit down and sit
a
into
little
it.
bit more limber. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but all that being said, it's a weird way to kind of settle in on a match with the conclusion being the turnbuckles and the structure of no pinfalls and no submissions. But all that being said, I thought the brutality of the strap added another layer of to live up to the structure of the violence of the feud that has been there so far for sure.
Mhm,
And I agree with the sentiment that they're holding back for that third match, right? So
mhm,
I overall think it was a success. I would have to rewatch it to kind of see if it was better than SummerSlam as a whole, but as a bell to bell match, I didn't see much gripes within it besides the structure of the red light, green light. But
mhm.
that didn't bother me because I've seen these matches before, right? And I knew
Right.
what
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
coming, and I felt and I liked the idea of it, right?
Mhm,
So and I thought, and also psychology wise, of course, Drew had to take the L, but I was like, well, that could be an out too for Punk to kind of lose by Drew touching all four, and then he
mhm,
comes up. Is they going to go? So that the finish kind of help me with the finish
mhm,
from a flow aspect too here,
mhm,
even though it wouldn't make sense. Of course, it's going to be 1-on-1, but with that structure of the bell or the turnbuckle or whatever, I felt that perhaps I put
mhm.
myself in a place where I was open to it, right? That I could be
Right.
open
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
that, whatever. But yeah, but overall, CM Punk's performance, I thought he looked much better from a win thing, and I do like the hidden gem of kind of attacking before the bell, so he can get his win and blow up kind of a little bit and let him
Yeah.
settle in that way, right? Because before they just had the boom, 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 the fighting, the Piper and Hogan 85 start off the bell,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
fucking clobbering each other at SummerSlam, because that's what this feud is, right? They
Mhm,
want to get right after each other. So
mhm,
I like that the different approach that they had, the same sentiment, but a different approach of getting to that. And then really just to kind of get a sweat on Punk and let him find the groove, right?
mhm.
Because, to pull the curtain back a little bit, so to speak, you would guess, right? So overall, I think it's a success. I understand the hiccups on it, but I don't think the ceiling was super high for it due to the structure of the straps.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
do you think this this strap match, the red light, green light one, do you think this is the best one WWE's ever done, or do you think like
well,
like you had
Eddie and
Eddie and
JBL
JBL had it? I
had
think
it
Batista and
incredible.
JBL had one too.
Yeah,
Umaga and Punk
Punk,
and
a
JTG
Samoan
and
strap match.
yeah, JTG and Shad also had one.
I had no clue that Karrion Kross and Drew had one 2
Yeah,
years ago. No
it
fucking
wasn't
idea.
it wasn't the red light green light one though. It was
No,
just
okay.
the
Oh,
it was
the actual red light, green light one?
yeah,
Yeah,
the
okay.
actual red light green light one.
I would Eddie and Punk. I mean, Eddie
Yeah,
and JBL all
JBL.
day. That
Yeah.
that that is a
A
historical
fun
match.
fun story about that, because they announced it, and Vince asked the writing team to come up with a finish, and he's like, "Oh, ask Dusty," but Dusty was working
Oh,
for
yeah.
TNA at the time, And
Me too.
they literally just called Dusty and asked them for a finish, and that's how you got the finish for the Great American Bash 2004 Eddie Guerrero JBL Strat match. By the way,
That's really
Rey
cool.
Mysterio and Chavo Guerrero are from that show. Excellent match. One of the best cruiserweight championship matches we've ever seen in WWE.
Nice. Oh 04 talk here, baby. Let's go. So I
Yeah.
love it. I
Well,
love
we
it.
got to preview something for our Ruthless Aggression pod, you know?
Yeah, that's how we roll, buddy. Counting
Yeah.
down the years of the ruthless aggression.
Mhm.
All right. Overall, I think it's a success. I don't think the bar was matched for some people, but I think that bar is set up for the third one, as a feud
Mhm.
should blow off, especially at this
Mhm.
magnitude. So
Yeah.
overall, I think they're treading water uphill in a good way,
Yeah. If you're going for the trilogy, that's what you do.
for sure. All right. Dirty Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan, the Judgment Day, taking the L to the Terror Twins, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, in a mixed tag match, 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Now, this match is a definition of a variety show.
Mhm.
Some people, this was their favorite match, I would assume, right? And I
Yeah.
thought there was immense fun, but from a bell to bell standpoint, it was kind of hard to for me personally to kind of
Mhm.
settle in because of the cat and the mouse of it. Ready? The big and the tall, or the big and the small of it, right?
Mhm.
So it's just like, all right, Priest should kill Dom, but they have to structure a 10 to 15-minute match.
Mhm.
Rhea should be killing Liv, but they have to structure it. But once they kind
Mhm.
of worked the kinks out and kind of got to it,
Mhm.
I really enjoyed it. I thought all four had really good performances, stayed true to their characters, and I was satisfied
Mhm.
with the Terra Twins winning the match. I felt that maybe Dom and Liv were gonna sneak one out, Judgment Day rules or whatever,
Mhm.
kerfuffle, all that stuff. But I as the match built and I got more invested after kind of the wonkiness of the first half of it, and maybe I'm like, all right, this is kind of
Mhm.
lame. Once they settled in, I found myself rooting for Priest and Rhea, and I
Mhm.
assume that is the goal, right?
Mhm.
So even at jaded assholes like me, right? So overall, what did you think of this match? And were you satisfied?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the best word to describe it. It was a satisfying ending to this match because this Judgment Day split story has taken over as the Bloodline ended at WrestleMania as we knew it. To this one, the Judgment Day is now the soap opera, story. It's like
Days of
it's
our
the
lives.
yeah, it's what we'll tune in next week to find out why John cheated on Rhea or something like that. But
General Hospital.
and this feud really does remind me of the Cody Dom match in that the Cody was in that feud with Brock Lesnar, so there was already a serious situation
Yeah,
here. Cody was going, and Dom was kind of like the distraction point. You know, this one is similar in the way that we're looking for two different matches other than this one. You want Rhea and Liv, that rematch from SummerSlam, and then you want Damian and Finn, where they teased it during this match as well. And you still have that. They still left a lot of open ended stuff for things to get resolved. Like, even though Rhea got her hands on Dom, we still haven't seen the Riptide, on Dom yet. And I feel like that's going to happen in one of these matches sooner rather than later.
got that leg
And
choke out though.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's a long term storytelling from years ago. But and with Damian Priest, I do agree where it's like you kind of have to make him a little bit vulnerable, have him susceptible to the Liv Morgan Dominic team, as we saw with that spot with Liv grabbing Damian's leg and Dom hitting the drop kick, causing
Yeah,
Damian to go flying onto the announce table, injuring his ribs, and that's how things could take control. And I feel like real pinning Liv was the right outcome because now you have her have a legitimate reason and a legitimate way to say, hey, I deserve a championship match by pinning the champion. And then you have Priest, who gains momentum trying to battle the gauntlet of Judgment Day members in order to get to Balor. And with Dom, he's pretty much inserted into this IC title tournament. So honestly, if he wins on Raw, and he's inserted in there, people aren't gonna remember he lost. So honestly, it's pretty much good for everybody involved. With the
yeah,
Judgment Day, I could see how people say it's like, oh, the Judgment Day looked really weak. They looked really weak. But it's like JD and Carlito are kind of there to be crash test dummies a little bit. Be distractions for Priest and for Rhea and fill out their role where Finn is kind of being in that like first wave of Bullet Club kind of Finn Balor, that Prince Devitt kind of character, where it's like it's not overruled domination, it's just like this imagery that looks like in domination that's perceived as domination, but the domination is very much more underhandedly.
Yeah.
So I think like with this match, it served its purpose, and like again, a lot of these matches up to this point aren't like like feud enders or feud feud stoppers. They're just there to move that story along while having these different pieces involved. And I feel like we're going to get that Riptide on Dom. We're gonna get that third match with Rhea and Liv. Not at Bad Blood. That'll probably be the second match. I could see them doing the Shark Cage deal with Dominic in
Yeah.
that match, and then you debut maybe Raquel as Liv Morgan's bodyguard because there's a long story
I think
there.
that's a great call right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Like you could have Balor or like you could have Priest run the gauntlet of Judgment Day people before trying to get to Finn. And again, you have these two stories where it's like they're tied together, but there's so many different variables involved. So, again, satisfied with the ending. As long winded as I am, but that's pretty much it. I was satisfied. That was the perfect word.
Now, do you agree with some of the sentiment, or do you see my point of view where I thought a lot of this was kind of like mid-ish for to steal a word from nowadays, right? Where it's just like,
Mhm,
all right, this is kind of baseline stuff. I'm not super into it. Where I was more into the
mhm.
KO story with Cody. I was more into the Punk story with Cody.
Yeah,
I'm into the story. It just wasn't living up to it because of the factors of the characters within it. But you look at this on
yeah.
paper, it's big versus little. It's weak versus strong, right? So it's just
Well,
like
and also
it.
Dominic hasn't been like the most like
Yeah, exactly.
threatening character, you know what I mean? So it's like how can you take him seriously when he's most of his matches is hiding behind either Rhea or Liv or the Judgment Day, you know what I mean? So we don't know really Dominic Mysterio as himself on his own as of now.
Yeah, this is the
So,
this match is pretty much the definition of a variety show. I can
yeah.
definitely seeing some people being the most invested in this match and caring about it the most and being the most satisfying
Mhm,
and being the most satisfied, thinking it's like one of the better matches of the night and enjoying all 14 minutes of it.
mhm.
Where again, my jaded punk stupid ass was like it was fun at the end of it. Like it's like I'm eating my vegetables first. Like I'm eating,
I mean,
this
I
these
think it really
potatoes
picks
are
up.
undercooked as I get to the meat, right?
Yeah, I think it really picks up when Liv busted out that like octopus stretch kind of like
Yeah.
cradle move, and
She
then
needs more of that, like,
yeah,
structure within
and
the
she's
moveset.
been doing a lot of great like ring work. I think it's kind of going under the radar on compared to her character work, and I think like
The feet
as
came under her, yeah.
yeah, and I feel like as the weeks and months go on, we're going to see more of those Liv Morgan in ring improvements, and I think she's done a great job with it. So kudos to her. I think she was maybe even go as far as say she was like the MVP of the match, just in terms of just like
Maybe the
character
most
work, in terms of
improved, right?
yeah,
Over
most improved too, because
perception of her
yeah,
improvement.
yeah,
Yeah, it does
and
feel like her you make a good point because as a wrestler, it feels like she's not going through the motions before where you could
mhm,
tell that she was thinking what to do next. There's more rhythm, there's uh, more of a flow within ring with her move to move, character points, of course,
mhm,
the in between stuff. Because again, she's not very opposing looking, right? So she
right, yeah,
needs that kind of Dominic shine, right, of the
mhm,
character shit to kind of make the in between more investful, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
she's getting there. Will do say I definitely think that 2 summers ago she was extremely overpushed, and now this time I feel like she's more into the shoes fit a little bit more better as it should.
She's more ready,
Yeah,
especially.
for sure. But overall, yeah, satisfied, not match of the night in my opinion,
Mhm,
but I see the point. If it were your match of the night, I see it.
mhm.
All right, the final match here, the main event, Gunther,
Oh boy.
your reigning defending world heavyweight champion, defeating Randy Orton by technical submission in a
Mhm,
singles match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Mind you, Richie, had
mm,
Orton won the championship, he would have been transferred to Raw, and Gunther would have been transferred to SmackDown.
mm.
34 minutes, 28 seconds is your bell time here. This is an old school slugfest that where the tone was set, where they're singing voices on the way to to the ring for the hometown or for the away team, Randy Orton. Uh, and as soon as I saw the shiny red tights, I knew we were gonna get a banger. I really thought that the King of the Ring match was extremely good and a little underloved by the community out there when thinking it was just very good. I thought Orton was worked incredibly well within it, and the baseline to have an absolutely great match was there.
Mhm.
I can see the plot point of being slow and methodical in this match, but all built. I'm into selling. I love 80s wrestling. I love WWF wrestling. I love pre 84 wrestling. I love the old school of it all. So that shit doesn't bother me. I'm not afraid to sit in a 20-minute draw in an MSG opener and give it 2 stars. This
Mhm.
was not that. But the pace was slow, but the in between stuff really carried the in between of the pace, right? So I thought Gunther was extremely well. I love that Nate and the through line that the commentators helped carry through the match of little Nate's letting things go. He's been in a lot of title matches as a referee. He knows where to be authoritative, right?
Mhm.
And I love that they early on they had a beyond 10 count and they were just like, we're just going to roll with it. And that
Mhm.
rolled into the table spots. That rolled into the chair spots. Was it a disqualification match? No, it wasn't. You could have been disqualified. But I like that little Nate kind of turned the blind eye, right? So to speak, to let these guys have more oomph of the in between. But overall, I think the MVP of this match was Gunther's right hand,
Mhm.
taking away the chops of it all. I did this preview with Mike, and I asked him, when Randy Orton the second time around sees Gunther's name on the marquee, does he say, "All right, big boy, we have a chop limit"? And perhaps there may have been a chop limit with the structure of the match being Randy Orton taking away the right hand.
Mhm.
Overall, I love this match. I gave 4 stars to King of the Ring. Again, probably not a lot of people did that, but I would have this above. I'm not going like all time, but I would probably say 4.25 ish. I will rewatch it again for whatever bullshit I do, but I'm extremely high on it. It's easily my match of the night, and I don't know. I can't gush about it enough. I understand some of the flaws in it from a nowadays goggles, especially, but I don't wear those glasses. I'm old. I wear real glasses. I'm jaded. I've been there, done that. I bought in and I was invested the whole time. I was glad we were into this non-sprint of a main event, and I think will do a lot if this is the style that Gunther's going to go out there and really kind of double his match time. Because if you look at his intercontinental matches, right, they were legit 12-minute TV matches, some 16, 17-minute pay-per-views, and a lot of them were sprints within his structure of selling and his structure of methodically beating you down, chops, so on and so forth. If we're going to have that extended, I think he has the chops to do it, and he proved it tonight. Was it long? Am I way too high on it? What do you think, Richie? What say you?
I will say if you're into the modern style, uh, I'm not sure this match would be for you. If you're strictly like you like the fast pace, the
Will Ospreay's the
attention.
Ricochet. Yeah, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, yeah. If you like that style and only that style, this match isn't going to grab your attention. If you like selling, if you like grappling, if you like limb
Settle.
targeting,
Yeah,
if you like realistic planning on how to like actually carry out spots and it not being performance based, this
structure.
will this match will be for you. There are a couple spots where it's like little things that I like, and like they incorporate like I think Gunther had had Randy's head to the post on the outside and started squeezing it like to the
Oh yeah,
outside. And that stuff legitimately hurts. And it's like
yeah.
I like how it was almost like the inverse of the King of the Ring match, where it seems like Gunther was on the attack for majority of it because Randy came in with the injured knee, and now you have the forearm and the arm with Gunther. That's primarily the body part that's being targeted.
Yeah.
And I really did enjoy a lot of the spots in the match. I do like the kind of like the subtlety of like Randy's RKO isn't that right hand that will knock people out immediately. It's now being easier and easier to kick out of these RKOs, much like how it was
Especially
with
with
John
all
Cena
that
when he
mass that he
did.
put on, you thought that would be a lot harder. The boy's 290 now.
Well, again, he's like well, now in commentary they say he's 285, correction. But it's like he's still 40 pounds heavier than he
That's
was like
crazy.
when he left. And I feel like with Randy, like I was like one of the people who enjoyed the Randy Orton Triple H match from the Saudi Arabia show, which was
Oh,
Triple
I
H
went 3.5
Shield.
on it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that match. It's like watching a different type of movie. Yes, I like my Marvels, Avengers, stuff like that. I like Back to the Future, but I also like 12 Angry Men,
Yeah.
those classic movies where it's like it's just two people, here are the meat and potatoes of it. Nothing fancy.
It's a
Here you
great
go.
professional match. That's how I just
It's a
lay it out
really
there.
great match when it comes to selling, exhaustion, the process. It's like two people went out there and had like a grappling match and had a legitimate fight. It wasn't fancy. Randy Orton matches aren't really that fancy. And I feel like Gunther, the perfect way to describe Gunther's style is he's a chameleon in the ring. He
Adapts.
adapts to everyone's style and then wrestles that style and out wrestles them in that style.
Great
Like
call.
we saw it with plethora of opponents. Like you saw it with Pete Dunne, you saw it with Ilya Dragunov, you saw it with Randy here, you saw it with just all his opponents in the past. And I really do like the technical submission knockout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it
Because
saves honestly, it saves a little face in a way too.
yeah, saves Randy a little bit, puts over the hold, and
Yeah, it
also
puts over Gunther. Yeah.
Gunther, hit his all his moves. Like what I like about Gunther is like he doesn't have a set finisher. So it's like legitimately any point it could be the splash, it could be the power bomb, it could be the lariat, and I like how he transitioned his lariat because it's like he couldn't lift Randy for the power bomb, so he
Yeah.
transitioned to the lariat with the OK arm. And it's just like
Yeah.
little things like that where it's like for a second I thought like Gunther might have transitioned to a pile driver spot when he had like trying to lift Randy and just like he would just like say screw it and then just like pile drive Randy and really like put that over a little bit for this being an old school type of matchup. But again, for this match, some people will say 35 minutes is long. I wouldn't fault anybody on that if they thought the time was long. I wouldn't fault anybody who isn't interested in this match. I feel like this match is going to be probably the most divisive match of the year among the wrestling community, just because there is a very specific fan base that this match will tailor towards. But overall, I think it was extremely well done from a selling aspect. I think it was the best like selling from two competitors in a match all year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just can't wait to see how people react to it.
Yeah. I think it's a resume match for Randy Orton.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's a showcase really. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't care if I catch heat or whatever, but
Mhm,
I'm a fan of AEW. I rather watch this 35 minutes match than MJF and Will Ospreay, and I'm a fan of both those guys, right?
mhm.
So, and they probably if you we would have like a move count, they probably tripled, quadrupled the move count, right, in this move. But
Right, yeah, yeah.
I was way more invested in this match than I was with that match a week ago.
Mhm,
So I don't know if that's like a AEW structure thing, a 5 card structure thing, or that both were rematches and they both were 35 minutes of
yeah,
around, right? So
mhm,
I'd rather rewatch this match. I had way more invested in this match, and I like all 4 guys, right? I
mhm,
just felt more. It felt bigger.
mhm,
And I'm glad Orton was Gunther's first opponent.
mhm,
Now, what do you think of this sentiment, right?
mhm.
When Gunther wins, Michael Cole says he is going to be world heavyweight champion for a very long time. Does that do damage? Does that do good? What do you think?
I
Or does
think
it
it
matter?
I think it definitely sets expectations. You know
Yes.
what I mean? I feel like a lot of fans who hear something like that, especially watching Gunther's Intercontinental and NXT UK Championship runs, respectively, expect this run to go long, and I feel like those expectations can hinder a performer. But I feel like with Gunther, because like I said before, his way of kind of adapting to everyone's style,
Yeah.
I think it could only help him in the way that every Gunther match from here on out is going to be treated as an event. It's
Yes.
going to be treated as a special uh, occasion. It's going to be treated as an apex, a match to look forward to, because now you have it in everybody's mind. It's like he did X, Y, and Z with the IC and the NXT UK Championship. What's he going to do with the World Heavyweight Championship? And with Michael Cole putting over, he's going to be champion for a really long time. though that's a pretty high bar to set. But I feel like Gunther is the right person and to actually reach those expectations, even if it's the shortest out of those
Yeah.
two championship runs. I feel like,
I assume it will be, honestly. I
yeah,
assume
I
by a while too.
yeah, I feel like he's not going to reach the heights of the Intercontinental Championship. But again, with this new championship, relatively new championship, you have you only have three prior champions to compare it to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think the pressure is less off that way. And I feel like Gunther's the best person to establish not only the championship lineage, but the expectations on how the world championship is looked upon from here on out.
So overall, I love the detail in this match, as much so as they did a left-handed handshake post-match of respect. Richie, when was the
Yeah.
last time you handshook a man or woman left-handed? Like,
You don't, again, you don't do the left hand thing. You know what I
but his
mean?
right hand was compromised the whole match.
I
He
know,
couldn't
I
even
know.
hold the belt with it. He had
Yeah,
to put the
you know.
belt over his shoulder and shake him with his left hand.
Yeah.
Attention to details.
No, yeah, I know. My friend James over at Ruthless Talk, he doesn't like the shaking of the hands at the end of every match because Triple H seems to be doing that a lot with his matches. Whether it's a babyface heel or heel and babyface, it's just a lot of handshake. Personally, I don't mind it.
Yeah, you're
Just
just
because,
battling respect.
yeah, it's kind of like like the UFC mentality where it's like, all right, we beat each other up for X amount of time. You beat me or I beat you. You still went in there, you fought,
It's
handshake.
security within yourself, and it's security within your
Yeah,
character
and
that you can
also it just
accept
kind
what
of
happened.
legitimizes Gunther's run, because a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I think a lot of people questioned him after that Randy Orton match at King and Queen in the Ring. I might actually prefer that match to this one. I have to do a rewatch of both
Yeah.
just because I just like how Randy Orton sold his knee throughout the entirety of the match.
Yeah,
But it's
I
like
think the roles were a little bit reversed here with the seller and the attacker, right?
exactly, and it's like it
Yeah,
really did put Gunther, I feel like, on another level, with Randy Orton. Defeating Randy Orton in your first title defense just kind of sets the tone in that regard. And it's going to be
legacy.
like,
Sure.
yeah, you beat like an established star right off the bat by a dominating way. I also do like the little thing at the end where it's like Randy Orton, like he was trying to get like one finger in between the choke
Keep
just to
us
kind of
wrong.
just trying to get that come on, like that grip loosened. And then I really did like the Randy getting out of there, taking a breather, and then got there doing the Undertaker sit up, and then going immediately back in the choke. And they didn't even do the Bret Hart corner spot, which I appreciated because it seems like we see that a lot,
CM
a
Punk
lot
stole
of
all
times.
the Undertaker spots,
Yeah,
so
so
he's a
it's like
quota.
yeah, like I feel like this really puts Gunther's run at a strong start, and I can't wait to see what happens from there.
So speaking of, one more thing Michael Cole mentioned post-match, he said I might be wrong on the amount, but I'm pretty sure it was Gunther is now 8-0 since getting defeated at WrestleMania.
Mhm.
Is that something we're gonna start snowballing? Is that another thing to add to the tool belt of Gunther presentation?
Ah, I think it's not going to hurt it, but I don't
No.
think it's going to be something that's going to be pushed, if that makes any sense, because I feel like once they get into a rhythm, they're going to pivot to something else. Like, oh, he's been undefeated in PLEs, like 12 PLEs, or like
Yeah.
he's been the most consistent win streak in WWE history, or something like that. I feel like WWE really does like to tout records and such like that, so it wouldn't
I love the
surprise me.
sports feel of it, honestly.
Yeah, and I feel like they really do pivot to the sports feel a lot, and I feel like, especially with Gunther, he's going to be the sports in sports entertainment when it comes to portrayals in WWE. I feel like Cody Rhodes is that mix of sports and entertainment. I feel Gunther's strictly going to be the sports, and then from an entertainment aspect, I feel like you're going to see a lot more of the entertainment more in the NXT feel, comparatively speaking.
Cool. All right, Richie. Gunther, who's he facing next at Bad Blood? Assuming he has a match.
Who's he facing next at Bad Blood?
Or Raw or who's next?
Like, like, again, I feel like the Punk thing is probably the most logical.
But not to mix up your scenarios, but wouldn't
Yeah.
the Raw debut be the Monday after Bad Blood?
The season premiere.
See, whatever the fuck it is, season premiere.
Season
Wouldn't that be?
premieres in 2 weeks.
Is it, oh, so they already okay? So that's going to coincide with the SmackDown season. That makes a lot more sense.
Mhm,
Okay, yeah, okay. I can see that now.
mhm.
Because before it used to be fucking October or whatever, but now that
Yeah.
it's gonna coincide with SmackDown coming to
Mhm,
USA, that totally makes sense. And
mhm,
September is gonna be like commercial free for the
mhm,
most part, all WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT. And it's just
mhm,
would probably be WWE month on USA. All right, that's pretty
mhm,
cool. So yeah, they
mhm.
want that to be big, right? Leading into the SmackDown of it all. Uh yeah, I can see that. What about after Punk though?
If you want to have him a bad blood match and you want to do something quick, and thinking strictly from a WWE like merchandising standpoint, uh, maybe you do a J.
They
Maybe
love
that's
doing Jay
about
so fucking quick. He is
they
such a fucking he's a pony. Or do you get Gun
yeah,
or do you do Sammy maybe or a triple threat?
yeah, and
Because
also
they have
with
been
the
teasing that they're gonna go to gold together,
yeah.
and it could be a pivot before they go for the
You
tag
could do
belts
s
that they
you
go
could
for that.
definitely do a Sami Zayn rematch. I would honestly
I
save
do
that
Sammy
one.
and Jay, honestly. I
I
kinda
would
like
sa
that the best.
I would save the Sami Zayn one-on-one match, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. Maybe you do a Survivor Series, maybe you do a Big 4 pay-per-view with Sami and Gunther.
Yeah,
I
there's
feel like,
juice there.
and I feel like with, like, you could do like I said, you do a Jay, there's history between Gunther and Jay there, with Jay
They've had a
almost
bunch of good matches. The King of the
yeah, and
Ring
Jay
Raw final. Yeah.
yeah, and also Intercontinental, where Jay
Yep.
almost defeated Gunther, and Gunther admitted on TV that Jay almost had him, like, was
Yeah.
about to win. So it's like
Jimmy came in, yeah. That was early this year on Raw. Yeah, that
yeah.
was very good too, but
So
yeah, so
again, you
there's
do the
definitely juice there.
you do
There's
the
definitely juice
trilogy.
there.
It's like I know people probably don't like that because
And
people
then
don't
honestly,
like
it's now that you say it, it's a way to transition Sammy into Jay's corner fully, which will lead to the tag team, right? Because it's he can kind of do like the Gable scenario where he can coach him up to beat him, right?
you see, I think about these things, Ryan.
Yeah, so it works out. I like the triple threat, but
Yeah.
I think I like the coach aspect of it all better.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
All right, Richie. Overall, out of 10, I'm hovering around 7. I thought it was a very good show.
Mm. Yeah, I think around the same thing, like 7. Like, it's like it's predictable, yes, but that doesn't mean it's bad. I think
Yeah.
everything delivered.
I don't think anything
Uh
was a negative, and we got
I
one
don't
great
think
match.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think anything over delivered. I think everything like if like maybe like slightly like over delivered, but other than that, I feel like everything reached my expectations,
Yeah.
and I feel like with these if you want to call them B shows or whatever, I feel like they have a pretty good formula of making these B shows matter.
And what I think they do best is, especially as they build these feuds, right? CM Punk Drew,
Mhm,
for example, KO and Cody, for example, and then even add the Dom, Rhea, and the Judgment Day. That next piece you anticipate to be better than how they left it this night, right? So I
mhm,
think all that kind of stays true. And you see that as a pattern with SummerSlam was better with Drew or with Punk and Drew. And
mhm.
then this was a little bit better. And you assume that the last one, and you hope that the last one will probably be the best. And it probably will be. So
Yeah.
yeah, they've left the feuds satisfied in the moment in a better spot in the future. And I think that's
Mhm.
a great goal. And I think that is their goal. And they continue to kind of hit that goal of and strive of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like now they got like a great rhythm. They have that great rhythm of just like shows meaning more, like the television shows meaning more. Just because not we're not putting everything on a PLE doesn't mean the matches that aren't happening on TV don't matter. And I'm really happy with how they're structuring it right now.